as the largest single drug bust in Philippine history. Let's bring in Maricel Halili now to get more details on what happened earlier today. Maricel, exactly what did President Marcos say?
That's right, ladies. This 13.3 billion pesos worth of drug haul is said to be the largest in the recent history. And President Marcos has also pointed out that no one dies in pursuit of these illegal drugs. Parang may pinapatamaan. Let's listen to what President Marcos has said.
I would like also to point out that this is the biggest shipment of shabu na nahuli natin. But not one person died. Walang namatay, walang nagputukan, walang nasaktan. Basta't inoperate natin ng dahan-dahan, yun naman dapat ang approach. Para sa akin, yun dapat ang approach sa drug war.
President Marcos and Interior Secretary Abalos personally led inspections in Barangay Pinagcrusan, Alitagtag, Batangas. Authorities managed to seize high-grade shabu, possibly smuggled from abroad. Authorities got hold of the drugs yesterday after intercepting its delivery via checkpoint. A van coming from Santa Teresita was carrying the loot. Police said the driver seemed agitated when they asked to see his license. That's when they inspected the items in the van, which turned out to be packs of shabu placed inside plastic containers. The driver is now in police custody for investigation and is facing a case for violating the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act. President Marcos says his administration's crackdown on illegal drugs will continue.
Ang ating ginagawa, we take apart, binabaklas natin yung mga sindikato, kahit sino man. Ang nakita natin may kasabwat dito sa drug trade. Kahit sino man, kahit politiko ba na powerful politician o police o kung sino man, talagang iniimbestigahan natin. Kaya nagkaroon ng ganitong klaseng operation.
As for his administration's approach to the drug war, President Marcos said they will stick to what's currently being done.
It is the most successful approach to the drug war so far. So why will we change it? We won't change it. We'll continue to do what we are doing. Of course, I cannot explain to you the details of what we are doing, but we will continue to do what we are doing.
Ladies, what we know is that the current administration is putting a premium on rehabilitation when it comes to drug war. This means that the government is planning to put up more facilities and to establish more community-based program for drug addicts. Ladies?
Thank you so much for that update, Maricel Halili. And joining us tonight to talk about this mega drug haul, the largest in Philippine history, as well as the status of the drug war under President Marcos, we have with us Interior Secretary Abalos. Sec, good evening. Maraming salamat sa oras niyo tonight.
Well, Regina and of course Sean and to all our viewers, good evening po. Magandang gabi.
Okay, first of all, congrats on the drug bust. Can you talk us through how we got to today without, of course, giving away too much information? No? Baka magtago po yung ibang mga drug lords and drug syndicates dyan. But how did we get to today, that biggest drug bust in history?
Well, this was all intel driven, no? So there was a checkpoint at Alitagtag in Batangas, which was headed by Captain De Luna. And there was this photon vehicle that arrived and they tried to check it at medyo ninenervous itong driver. No? And when they opened it, medyo ima yung amoy. At ayun, nakita nila, they were shocked to see it. At first, kung sinabi nga sa akin, they were not sure kung kano kadami ito. No? Ang hirap i-approximate, pero nagulat sila na ganun kadami pala. It's almost 2 tons, no? About 1.8 tons of methamphetamine chloride. Siguro ang worth ito, sabi ng PDEA, approximately 13.3 billion pesos. So more or less yun na nangyari sa checkpoint ito.
Okay. So, Sec, just to clarify na hindi ito parang operation na planned ahead. Kumbaga, nahuli lang sila sa checkpoint. So, there was no long surveillance. Hindi ito minamanmanan na shipment or whatnot.
Now, the term used here by the police is intel-driven, intelligence-driven. No? So, may mga warnings na rin, more or less, na binigay on the ground. Yes.
Did this hole did it just arrive in the country, or it was already in the country and it was just being transported from one place to another?
Well, one thing is that yung kanina, the way I saw the markings, may mga markings kasi yan eh. Before, by the way, no, this is the third biggest. The first one was in Tondo last year. It was worth about more or less 7 billion pesos. The second one was in Baguio, about 4 billion. Pareho yun, puro T-bags, no? Nakatibag. But this time, iba yung markings niya. Hindi siya nakatibag at iba ang character niya. No? So, ayaw lang namin i-disclose sa ngayon, pero iba ito. No? And ito yung pinag-aaralan ngayon talaga, we're coordinating with different agencies about this. Kaya medyo ibang anggulo ang i-take natin po rito.
Okay.
So sorry, the answer wasn't very clear to me. So they have just arrived in the country when it was seized.
We cannot say Sean and Regina because there was this marking that nakalagay
okay.
na date is 2021. May nakita ko isa 2021. We cannot tell kung baka mamaya dineliver lang, it's just an all supply, or it's also possible na baka matagal na naka-store ito sa isang bodega. No?
And then
There's a lot of possibilities here.
and then Sec, without also giving too much away, what else can you share about the provenance of this drug haul? Do we know where it came from, and also how it slipped past customs at the origin?
And to add to that, Sec, is it possible na dito siya ginawa sa Pilipinas, that it was manufactured here? Is that also one angle that you're looking at?
We're looking at all possibilities here, at all possibilities. Pero lumalabas, the way we see things, even ang aking impression dito is hindi ito manufactured in the Philippines. Galing sa labas ito. That's the way I see things right now. But again, no, all angles here are being investigated.
We don't know yet the origin country at this point, or we
As of
haven't.
na- Yeah. As of now, Regine and Sean, no, may mga operations pa kasi kaming ginagawa rito at may mga follow-up pa kaming operations na ginagawa. Yes.
All right. Well, actually, Sec, naaalala ko dito sa nangyari today. Remember that 6.7 billion drug haul late in 2022.
Yes.
I think that was in October. Now, that time, medyo nagkagulo po, no? A lot of cops were implicated in that bust. You yourself have said na nakita ninyo dun sa video from the surveillance video from that operation that you recognized some police members. Since then, up to now, it's been a little bit more than a year. How have we changed in that sense? And in this case, walang suspicion na may kasabwat na police dito sa drug bust today. And how have things changed since then?
Well, the thing is, Regine and Sean, no, ang nahuli dito ay isang driver. Ang pangalan niya is Ajalon Michael Sarate E. Manas. No? And by the way, kanina na-inquest na siya. He's now detained at the Batangas Police Provincial Office. No? At ang kaso niya is violation of RA 9165, Section 5. Ito yung, it prohibits the sale, trading, administration, dispensation, delivery, distribution, and transportation of dangerous drugs and or controlled precursors and essential chemicals. And of course, RA 4136, Section 31, or the illegal use of car plates. Anong pagkakaiba? Malaki pagkakaiba. I was there since yesterday. Actually, yung nakita namin dito ay talagang iba. No? Nangyari ito April 15. Okay. So, nung dumating ako roon, nung nakita ko ito, kung saan mismo yung checkpoint, very very clear sa tao ito, no? Talagang doon na ginawa yung pag-inventory kasi you need inventory no? So kompleto, it's very transparent, andun yung mga tape, kompleto ito. There was the prosecutor, members of the media, and there's even one from the barangay, no? Ang hirap inventory ito. It took them almost this happened at 7:20 a.m. April 15. Hanggang kaninang hapon, ini-inventory pa, hindi pa rin natapos sa dami nito. So meaning, all the legal process talagang sinulog ito. We're very careful about that. The chain of custody was really respected. No? In short, all legal procedures were followed, strictly followed.
Right. Okay. Sec, that was just the driver, no? And I'm glad you're able to arrest one person in this chain. But how confident are you that you will be able to eventually capture the masterminds or the drug lords behind this?
Well, we're very confident. I just cannot give you any information right now as we have an ongoing operation. Okay. But if there's anyone I would also like to commend, of course, is the Philippine National Police. No? Kasi ito talaga yung guidance ng ating Pangulo. No? At ito yung utos sa amin. Talagang hulihin namin yung mga malalaki. If you will notice, Sean and Regine, for the past several years, ang lalaki ng huli by the billions, no? So yun na talaga ang tinututukan namin dito. Ang masasabi ko lang, not only do I want to commend the Chief PNP here, of course, the APC, si General Armamento, the regional director, si General Kenneth Lucas, but most importantly, no, aside from PNP Chief Marbil, yung men on the ground. Ito yung mga taong nasa checkpoint na ito yung pwedeng suhulan Alam mo yun, pwedeng suhulan ito. And yet, despite everything, they stood their ground, no? Talagang hinuli nila. And this is Captain De Luna, who by the way, received a spot promotion yesterday. No? From being a captain, he's now a major. We're so proud of him and his team.
All right. Seems like maraming ang pagbabago no, in the terms of how we conduct drug busts as well as investigations, how you conduct investigations. Now, the President said when he visited the site of the drug bust in Batangas, ang sabi niya, babaklasin ang sindikato. We will continue to do that. He said he doesn't care kung may kasamang politiko, police, o kung sino man. Basta magbabaklas ng sindikato. And like what Regina was saying, that's really the crux of it, right? We can't just focus on, kumbaga, yung mga nasa bottom feeders no, nung chain. Without giving us too many operational details, would you say we're getting some traction in a sense na pagbabaklas nga ng mga sindikato?
Well, yes. Number one, we had a house cleansing of the PNP last year. Nakita naman natin, we were very transparent. Number two, there are a lot of operations that is being made right now. Last year, like what I said, 7 billion, 4 billion. Now it's close to 13.3 billion. At marami pa. And the approach here, sabi nga ng Pangulo, is that there is not one single cure for everything. You must be flexible here dahil ang kalaban mo rito, iba rin. No? So, of course, the use of technology. I'll give you one example, Regina and Sean. No? You know, in one place, I think it's in Muntinlupa. No? Isang barangay ang binigay sa police na talaga sabihin natin problematic sa droga. So what the police did is the police sa barangay program. Naglagay sila ng 10 pulis, yung pulis doon tumira, doon umupa na bahay, doon natulog, doon kumain, doon bumarkada, and stay there. Alam na nila ang ugali ng mga tao doon, anong kailangan, sino nagtutulak, sino hindi. No? Napakaganda. They immerse themselves for several months. And right now, yung barangay na yun, talagang halos na wala problema ng droga, ang kriminalidad. No? So yun ang gagawin namin. And one last thing is that what I would like to say is this. It is just like a tree. Even if you cut the branches of the tree, another branch will just grow up. Mm-hmm. Ang punong ito symbolizes the drug problem. Mas iputulin natin na sanga, baka dumami lang ang mga drug pusher. Mm-hmm. So let PIDEA, the police, NBI handle it. But well, they're arresting people. Ugatin natin ang problema. Andyan, of course, ang government, andyan ang different sector, andyan ang pamilya, ang community, magtulungan tayo. Yun ang BIDA program, Buhay Ingatan Droga ay ang program ng ating bansa.
Okay. Pero Sec, no, as we know, napakaiba nung approach ni President Bongbong Marcos to the drug war versus former President Rodrigo Duterte. Personally, I know that iba yung gusto niyang approach, but hindi malinaw sa akin exactly ano ba yung detalye ng kanyang approach. What can you share to us about yung marching orders ni President Marcos? Kasi ang pinagmamayabang niya kanina is no blood spilled, no guns fired, no shots fired. How do we achieve this without basically resorting to more brutal tactics?
We'll just do it the legal way, Sean and Regine. That is what we need right now. Faith in the government, faith in our institutions. Kaya nga kailangan ng tulong ng mga pulis dito. Intelligence report is very important. And it's very effective right now. Bakit? No, ayaw na lang namin magyabang, pero itong resulta, bilyon-bilyon na nahuhuli ng mga pulis ngayon. No? And this is, of course, on the side ng paghuhuli. No? Ngayon, let's look at what's happening in our society right now. 70% of all those who are now incarcerated are drug-related. Isipin mo yun, mga nakakulong ngayon, 7 out of 10 drug-related. At paglabas ng kulungan yan, according to the Bureau of Jail Management, close to 30% will go back to jail as repeat offenders. No? So, napakalaking problema yan dahil bumabalik sa kulungan. So, anong solusyon dito? No? Aside ng panguhuli ng police, panguhuli ng PDEA, panguhuli ng NBI, let us also look at this problem of the repeat offenders. Kaya ang gagawin namin, hindi lamang kulungan. Ang solusyon dito, bawasan mo pagbalik ng kulungan. And so we've used other institutions of government, like for example, we give them skills training 6 months before they go out, education, and not only that, kung ikaw yung nakakulong, paglabas mo, baka wala kang matuluyan at wala kang trabaho, babalik eh. So nakipagpirmahan with the Department of Labor sa TUPAD program, and those who will have serve your sentence, magkakaroon lahat ng trabaho for 1 year. No? And marami pang ibang interventions, hindi ko lang masasabi ngayon. I'm in Quezon right now. Mamaya, tatakbo kami at 5 o'clock for the BIDA program. And then I'll have a dialogue with the different sectors here about the drug problem.
Okay. So, to that end, Sec, can we get President Marcos to publicly order the national police to officially end the deadly anti-drug campaign? Because what Human Rights Watch is saying, for instance, is that the killings have continued under President Marcos. To a lesser degree, yes, but they have continued. So can we have the president, for instance, publicly declare an end to it?
As what the president said, under the Marcos administration, there will be no killings. Unless, of course, this is a legal case of self-defense. That's the only time. No? But definitely, no, this is the drug war will be in accordance with the oath that we have undertaken in accordance with the Constitution. It will always be the legal way.
With the drastic change in policy, do you also feel like you have the PNP's full support to carry this out?
Well, yes, definitely. And sayang kanina dapat may command conference si General Barbie, of course kasama ang DILG dito, pero na-postpone ng kami namin ng konti ito. And Sean and Regine, this is a big moral boost for the Philippine National Police and of course for our country. With our leader, the president here, talagang pinakita namin dito. You cannot please everyone. Maraming masasabi, maraming criticism. Natural yan nangyayari yan. We respect their opinions. However, what is important will always be the result. And these are results. There's a big results.
Yeah. Related to what Regina just asked you, I also wanted to ask you, since nandito rin po kayo, Sec, and you, of course, are the head of the PNP, sitting in for the president as his proxy. How have all these mga internal cleansing here, internal cleansing there, has it really worked? In your opinion, talagang nalinis na ba natin ang rango ng PNP from yung so-called scalawags? How has that gone? And is that still ongoing?
We have tried our best. Of course, last year we called for the resignation of all colonels and generals. And almost all, except I think one, ang hindi nag-resign. And then the president has accepted 18 of the resignation. As of now, on record, Napolcom, of which I chaired, has 5 cases against 58 colonels and generals. 58. Some of which we've already, I think it was 3 weeks ago, we've already signed for the summary dismissal. So these records will stand for itself. We are very serious also on the cleansing.
And then lastly, drug treatment facilities. That's also a big focus area. If I could just, we have the graphics for that, I believe. We're trying to hit one drug treatment facility per province by 2028 is what you previously committed. Are we on track?
Yes, right now what we're trying to do is really help those LGUs who who needs help. No, but right now it's more of the national, it's more of the local, and it's more of the private. No, talagang pinag-iisa lang namin ito. It's not only about rehabilitation, but let us always remember this. No, sabi nga ng presidente, maraming bansa mas mayaman sa atin. Talagang they've got so much, but ito tanong, is it effective or not yung nangyayari sa ibang bansa nito? Just look at for yourself. At the end of the day, it's all about our children, the attitude, their way of thinking. So the police will do the work, continue arresting, PDEA will do the work. But we need the family, we need the church, we need the community. We have to make the children say no to drugs. They must have the confidence. Let us create this environment. No? So dapat yan ang magtutulungan lahat. Napaka-importante nito.
Okay, so I guess yun ang tinatawag nating a whole-of-nation approach at whole-of-government approach. Maraming salamat po para sa oras niyo tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Interior Secretary Ben-Hur Abalos. Thank you.
Fears of an all-out war in the Middle East remain high as Israel weighed a response to Iran's weekend missile attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has summoned his war cabinet, the second time in less than 24 hours. Their military chief, Herzi Halevi, is quoted by Reuters as saying that this assault will be met with a response, though he gave no details. That's even though a number of their allied countries, including the US, France, and Germany, and even the United Nations, are calling for restraint. If Israel decides to strike Iran, Iranian officials say they will also meet that with immediate and severe action.
If the Israeli regime makes a mistake, this time Iran's response, as Iran's military commanders announced, will not be minimal but immediate and severe.
پاسخی که دریافت کرده رو
But if, for any reason, the Zionist regime wants to take even minor action against our land, against Iran's interests, it will definitely face a decisive and harsh response. And this answer will not take another 12 or 13 days. Zionists should not count in hours, but in seconds.
رژیم صهیونیستی
Now, the 4 Filipino seafarers who were on board a container ship seized by Iran's Revolutionary Guards will soon be released. DFA Undersecretary Eduardo De Vega told us as much last night, and he also said today that the 4 are in good shape.
They're safe and sound, pinapakain, they're treated well. At kagabi mismo, pinayagan silang tumawag sa kanilang mga pamilya dito. Bawat isa sa apat, no, nakausap nila yung pamilya nila mga isang oras halos. At sinasabihan sila ng kanilang yung mga umahawak sa kanilang mga Iranian authorities na papakawalan din sila in time. No? They will soon be released daw. So right now, today, we're in talks also, yung Iranian ambassador, kinakausap namin, ganun din po na they will eventually be released. We're working on that and we're confident makakauwi sila.
We're going to be pausing for a quick break, but right after that, we will be speaking to National Grid Corporation of the Philippines spokesperson, attorney Cynthia Alaban, about why the Luzon and Visayas grids had to be put on red and yellow alerts today. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
Pag-asa says 24 areas in the country are expected to experience scorching temperatures of up to 46 degrees Celsius. Based on Pag-asa's data, the heat index or perceived temperatures in Dagupan City, Pangasinan, may reach up to 46 degrees, and it may hit 43 degrees in Aborlan, Palawan, Zamboanga City, Iloilo City, Rojas City, and Apari, Cagayan. Meanwhile, the potential heat index could reach 42 degrees Celsius over in Pasay City, Lawag City, Tuguegarao City, Etiague in Isabela, as well as in Pampanga and Nueva Ecija. This is also the case over in Coron, Palawan, San Jose in Occidental Mindoro, Puerto Princesa City, Virac in Catanduanes, Masbate City, and in Pili, Camarines Sur. Add to that, over in Dumangas, Iloilo, Catarman, Northern Samar, Baler, Aurora, Casiguran, Aurora, Sangli Point in Cavite, and Tanawan in Batangas.
And along with the extreme heat, there were also
it was an extremely hectic day for you.
Yes, good evening, Regina. You're right about that. We have a lot of information to disseminate considering all these power interruptions that are going on in Luzon and Visayas.
Oo nga, it was the talk of town everywhere I went today. What is with the red and yellow alerts? First of all, 30 power plants, some of them scheduled, some of them unscheduled, being shut down. Surely this can't be normal. There's a lot of power plants coming offline in a single day.
Well, to clarify that, these power plants, especially those that are on unplanned maintenance schedules, they did not all go offline in one day. So I was looking at the data. We have several plants that have gone offline last year in 2023 and have not come back online, but these are smaller plants. But over the past 6 days, beginning April 10, we saw a lot of larger power plants go offline. So on April 14 and April 16, almost 1,000 megawatts went offline. So those are the bigger power plants that really had an impact on the power supply situation.
And what was the cause of the larger power plants going offline in the last 6 days?
Well, to clarify, NGCP does not control the power plants, so we rely on the information given to us by the power plants themselves as to their internal operations. But I did hear the Department of Energy mention that it could possibly be a boiler tube leak or other equipment within the thermal power plants, because the plants that went offline in the past couple of days are all thermal plants. So the heat has something to do with their operations. But again, I defer to the announcements of the Department of Energy, who have supervision over these power plants.
Right. I was going to ask you if the heat had anything to do with it, because it's been extremely hot and things are like, they're not working so well. And in a high heat situation like a power plant, that could happen. But let's talk about the demand, Attorney Alabanza. How high has demand gotten these days because of the extreme heat? It has been so hot. Did you see a spike in demand in Luzon and Visayas as well?
Well, the thing is, we haven't reached the projected peak for 2024. For today, I have not seen the actual numbers, so we'll see those tomorrow when we reach midnight and we see the peak consumption for today. But when I saw the projections last, it was projected as a little over 13,000 megawatts. But based on our projections for 2024, we are expecting 13,800 megawatt peak to occur mid-April. So in other words, this isn't still the highest consumption we're expecting for the year. But you mentioned it already that the heat really aggravates the situation on several levels. On the first level, of course, when it's hotter, more people open the air conditioners, and the consumption is really, you will see an increase in consumption driven by temperatures. And on the other level, of course, the higher temperatures will strain any thermal plants that are in operation.
Oh, you're right. The Pagasa has also told us to inform everyone that the heat is just going to get worse coming into next month, which is May. What's the game plan here, Attorney? Would you know if we have enough supply, we have enough backup supply? What's the plan for the peak heat next month?
Well, every year we announce this, that if all things go according to plan, because we do have a planned maintenance schedule, which we submit to the Department of Energy. And as much as possible, we negotiate with the power plant to spread their maintenance shutdowns across the year, so that we won't be seeing several plants going on maintenance shutdown at one time, so that we can preserve the stability of power supply. However, like you mentioned, there are around 19 power plants, equivalent to almost 2,000 megawatts, so a little over 1,800 megawatts, that went on unplanned or emergency shutdown beginning last year, and many of these smaller power plants have not yet gotten back online. So it's when these power plants go on unplanned maintenance shutdown or unscheduled maintenance shutdown that you will see an impact on the supply-demand balance. So right now, on NGCP, on our part as transmission service provider, we are ensuring that our transmission facilities, our delivery system, the power highway, is ready to accommodate all available supply. So as long as there's supply, we will be able to transmit it to the distribution utilities and cooperatives that need the power. However, if there is no supply, we can only manage the remaining supply and allocate it among the consumers connected to the system.
I hear of a lot of energy projects going around nationwide. Attorney, would you have any idea how much extra supply we're going to get in the coming years, maybe by the end of the year, next year, or at least in the short term?
Well, I don't have the numbers with me right now, but it is really of critical importance that the growth in demand does not outpace the entry of new power plants. Electricity is something that supports a growing economy, and we are pushing for a stronger economy. And of course, you have more people, you have more economic activity, so the demand for electricity will continue to rise year in, year out. Even during the pandemic, when everything slowed down, electricity consumption still went up. So it's critically important, especially since power plants have a gestation period of anywhere between 5 to 7 years. So the electricity we're using now ought to have been planned 7 years ago, 5 to 7 years ago. So it's important that the planning for the entry of new power plants, and with the right generation mix, of course, in terms of technology and fuel type, as well as the location of these power plants, are carefully timed and coordinated with the development of the transmission system, as well as the growth in demand that we see coming from the distribution utilities and the end consumers.
Yeah, I understand it's complicated, but roughly based on what you know, and since you do look at the numbers, at least even if it doesn't include today, would you say roughly that our consumption and our forward consumption is going to outpace supply?
Well, we still do have time to expedite certain items. On the part of NGCP in terms of transmission, we're ensuring that our projects are being completed so that when these incoming power plants go online, we will be able to accommodate them. But again, everything takes time. So we're at the point where we are resorting to demand-side management while we await the entry of the new capacities or the new supply from the generating plants, as well as the transmission projects that will service these plants.
Well, here's hoping we see ample capacity come online in the next few days. Thanks so much for making time for us. I'm sure it was an extremely hectic day for you. NGCP Spokesperson Attorney Cynthia Alaban. We're going to pause for a quick one right now, but right after that, former House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez apologizes for calling on the armed forces to withdraw their support for the Marcos administration. The details when we return. Keep it here.
Just solely security aspect, kaya nga itong initiative ng Department of Agriculture helping our fishermen, they will be motivated. Alam naman natin na may mga challenges talaga in their livelihood na minsan nahirapan silang magpapalaot. So that's why our government has made sure na lahat na agencies of government are helping out.
In Bajo de Masinloc or Scarborough Shoal, Chinese Coast Guard vessels continued to tail an ongoing hydrographic survey being done by Philippine vessels. Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, spoke to our sister channel 1PH today and said what China was doing is illegal.
What is still worth noting here is that the Chinese Coast Guard has illegal presence in these areas dahil we are actually carrying out a legitimate survey operation dito sa ating exclusive economic zone. And they do not have a legal basis for them to deploy their Coast Guard vessel and to monitor our legitimate action na ginagawa dito.
In other news, former House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez has apologized for urging the Armed Forces, or AFP, to withdraw their support for President Bongbong Marcos. In a statement, Alvarez denied being seditious. He says there has been growing dissatisfaction in the armed forces, which is why he was asking them to peacefully withdraw their support. Nevertheless, the Davao del Norte congressman apologized by saying nadala rin ng bugso ng damdamin. Some fellow congressmen are now pushing to have him charged for sedition, saying what Alvarez did was irresponsible and destabilizing. For his part, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla has called for an investigation to determine whether Alvarez's statements constitute sedition or even rebellion. Remulla also urged Alvarez to act in accordance to the highest standards of ethics, morality, and nationalism and avoid remarks unbecoming of a member of the House of Representatives. Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro likewise issued a statement. He says the AFP is standing steadfast in upholding the Constitution under the leadership of President Marcos and calls for them to withdraw support will not amount to anything but possible criminal investigation. The AFP is now looking into rules that could apply for Alvarez, who is a Philippine Marine reservist.
Of course, he's entitled to his own opinion. Maybe we could state that it is an uncalled for comment. Kung ano po yung policies, rules, and regulations of the armed forces will apply to him. So we will look into that. Kung meron pong something that's gonna be filed against him or anything.
Sa reservist po, meron tayong mga tinatawag na delisting. And it also happens pag marami na tayong ginagawa ngayon sa reserve force who are on breach of discipline that they have not met the following standards that the AFP requires. There's no filed cases against the person, so there will be no investigation and there will be no particular action.
And at this point, it's time to show you our big picture tonight. And Regina, I'm so happy to tell you that it's good news. You are seeing LTO Chief Vigor Mendoza with, yes, new license or plastic license cards. There is an additional 600,000 plastic cards which have been delivered to the LTO or Land Transportation Office, and distribution to different districts and satellite offices started today. The LTO is reminding drivers with licenses that expired last April until August 2023 to apply for renewal by the end of the month to avoid fines. The LTO is expecting the delivery of an additional 9.7 million, or anticipating the delivery of 9.7 million plastic cards in total, which the agency says will be enough to cover backlogs from last year as well as this year's requirements.
That's
Number one most asked questions I see on my Facebook. Yes.
Except plot twist. So we have a statement from President Marcos. In relation to the red and yellow alerts today, he said, I've instructed the Department of Energy to closely monitor and coordinate with all stakeholders to address the situation. And here's the crux. He says, I've also directed all government offices to set the standard in conserving energy and minimizing power consumption. So does that mean they will have the electricity to produce your plastic licenses, plastic license cards is my
Well, what are we
question.
going to do with the plastic cards if we can't run the printers, right?
Exactly. So now President Marcos is calling on all government agencies to set the standard in conserving energy, he says.
You know, it's
Direct
time
order
to-
from your chief executive.
From traffic to energy concerns, I think it's time to revisit flexi work schedules and hybrid work schedules again. It's a great way to save power.
But then
Who pays for the power? It's not
Exactly.
the office anymore who will pay for your air conditioning.
exactly, you still need to turn on the air conditioning because of the extreme heat, right? So
So it looks like that's something that's a great equalizer
none of these
now. It's
problems
great.
have easy solutions.